I do either or, depending on what I'm doing. Sometimes I'll set up a second camera and just do a kind of a general wider shot, just so I have that. Back in the early days, I even shot some of my run and gun stuff with a GoPro mounted on the lens hood of my camera. So I had that shot as well, just in case tragedy happened with the main camera, you know. So yeah, that's a good question, because sometimes, but I've also learned, especially when I'm doing a sit-down interview, I've learned to reframe quickly between questions so that I have a second cut. You know, I can cut something if I don't have people. And so I've learned to do that just as I'm talking to the subject, you know, just glance over at the screen and just do the quick reframing while I'm having that conversation with my subject. So it's a skill that I've learned over the years, and if I don't have that second camera, that's often what I'll do.
If you're using 4K, do you find that you can kind of shoot semi-wide and then in post?
You can. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of the 4K cut, you know, crop, but I have done that. When you're sitting down with an interview with someone that, you know, they get weirded out with all the lights and everything, it's getting them to be comfortable and just building that relationship with them. And sometimes you don't have a lot of time to do that, but it's just kind of building that rapport so that they can kind of like, okay, this guy's not going to be weird, you know, and so I just build that relationship with them, and so they can begin to relax. And so I did a project about 5 years ago. It's called the Great American Wheat Harvest, and I went out in the Midwest. I did a lot of agriculture stuff, and went out in the Midwest and with a bunch of farmers, and they were kind of skeptical about who I was and what I wanted, and so I had the fortunate opportunity there to spend a lot of time with them. So it was over a 2-year period, and the more time I spent with them, you know, at first it was like, oh, Conrad's here, you know, be careful what you say. By the time when we were done, I was part of the family. Oh, Conrad's here, yay! You know, it was that kind of experience, because I had built that rapport and that relationship with them. And now, some of those people are my best friends. You know, and so it's just, again, going onto a set with someone that's not experienced on how to... The other thing is, I always tell them not to repeat the question, but I say, okay, if I asked you, what did you have for breakfast today? You're not going to just say eggs, because I'm not going to hear the question. So I tell them, tell me, today for breakfast I had eggs. So I coach them on how to bring the questions back so that I can have that complete sentence in there without just having a one-word answer. I typically want to keep it natural. I like that look and that feel of just being in the moment and being there and experiencing what they're experiencing.
And all the hell of post-production of fixing it and color.
Right, yeah, that's always a challenge. And there's that, right?
Oh, I just had one thing. Yeah, so we do, in Duo, we do a lot of interview style as well. And Robin actually here does a lot of our interviews, I'll do them as well. The easiest thing we found that works is say, we're just having a conversation. And that locks people in. Because then they don't worry about retakes, they don't worry about what they're saying, they just tell you what they're going to tell you, with reframing the question, of course, but that helps them. We also find it's helpful to hide people on set who have eyes, which is everybody, but don't let other eyes show up, because they'll immediately go for the human eyes that the brain does. So we make sure the only visible eyes are the interviewer, so they don't look anywhere else but them. So that's really helpful too.
Don't let them use your script either,
Yeah.
And sometimes
Looks like you're reading.
Yes.
Sometimes I will have to coach them and say, you don't look at the camera, just keep your eyes here. And I will tell them, there'll be moments when I will be stopping and adjusting something on the camera. Still keep your eyes here. And keep looking at me. And sometimes that takes practice. Sometimes you have to redo it, you know, to get that response that you want.